The degree of discernment and the way of living correspond with one's behavior. One's way of living reaches which level of knowledge, his comportment to others corresponds to that level as well. Next, since the degree of discernment varies from one person to another, the conducts of people are not alike. Those who form their opinion through outer appearance, countenance, clothing, occupation of others are concerned with external activities. Discovering by the mind the inner living way of others is to perceive the distinction of virtues, temperament, moral, sentimental, and intellectual natures. If the values of that person are based on the heart and the mind, the conduct of the perceiver must be based on the heart and the mind too. The one who can perceive the life in others' way of living does not pay attention to countenance, clothing, or occupation, but he treats others with love from his conscience only. The way of living of vulgar people is almost always based on the activities of the body and the heart. Vulgar people conduct their life on 3 different degrees. 1. The vulgar person attaches importance to the flesh body, then his heart and his mind depend on and serve the sensational needs. Although the heart gets vitalized by feelings, without conscience, he often commits wrong and immoral deeds. Having in mind wicked and evil tricks and schemes, he aims to cause damage and loss to others. Enjoying sensual pleasures, this kind of person prefers crowns, gets many friends, and crams together with common desires, easy to be led astray and lured into the 4 main corruptions: gambling, drinking, addiction, and prostitution. They are likely to be attracted into drugs and other substances producing hallucinations. Disliking deserted areas, they want to satisfy their sensual pleasures and sensual desires. Thus, the worldly attractions bewitch the living way of the flesh body. 2. The living way of a vulgar man is related to the flesh body. His heart and his mind depend on sensations and feelings and serve their pleasant needs, still being conscious, but sometimes swinging between the right and the wrong states of the mind. He sometimes violates some moral principles. His mind creates good and bad ways of doing. Sometimes he helps others, but occasionally causes more bad deeds than good ones. His conscience still participates in activities and can discern the right and the wrong, the good and the bad. This kind of person is less likely to be seduced than the above-mentioned people. But if he is led astray, he can return without difficulty to the good way. 3. Belonging to the rank of vulgar person, but this way of living is related to the psychological activities and a little to the flesh body. In this case, the mind serves the heart, i.e., working for feelings. In this kind of person, the conscience acts strongly. He avoids causing harm to others. On the contrary, he enjoys making good deeds for others. He dislikes crowded areas. His inner life animates, and he does not feel alone even when he is in a lonely place. Having been evolved, this kind of person takes pleasure in good thoughts and deeds. His inner life is conducted in a good tendency, and his virtues are ameliorated. The genuine man surpasses the 3 above-mentioned kinds of people. His life is directed by only the heart and the mind. Thus, the flesh body depends completely on and serves the heart and the mind. The heart animates with genuine feelings and enjoys peace, joy, and love. Although the flesh body may get tired, he does not feel anxious or troublesome. The mind gets creative thoughts which serve social interests. The flesh body is obliged to perform what is needed for the demands of the mind, even though the former suffers pain and tiresomeness. Since one's heart always acts with the conscience, one's deeds are always suitable and appropriate to the logical course and the moral principles, though one does not pay attention to moral principles. Whatever depraved or debased surroundings this kind of man may live in, he is determined not to be misled, corrupted, or infatuated. His heart and his mind unite. He treats all other people equally, regardless of their social classes, positions, or outer appearance, but instead values highly their heart and mind. The state of mind of different kinds of men. The state of mind is man's level of intelligence. Usually, people are classified as stupid or intelligent. The unintelligent people are mentally slow in their memory function, having insufficient power to maintain enough data for the thinking function of the mind. Thus, their mind has no creative power. Nevertheless, to others, if their mind can create, albeit insignificantly, there will be no stupidity. But sometimes the mind is not brilliant enough to discern the cause and the reason in subjects and facts, and it is unable to think or recall. However, the mind will become brilliant and effective again. The characteristics of stupidity are stubborn, obstinate, hard-headed, conservative, hard to grant pardon, and hard to accept new concepts, hasty and lazy. To a stupid man, when his intelligence is vague and unreasoning, he cannot understand the advantages learning in works and becomes displeased, annoyed, and irritated in each task, confused in his activities, and therefore feels sorrowful and deeply dolorous in the assigned tasks. On the contrary, he enjoys pleasures, comfort, and ease, which are the source of mental and moral corruption and bad manner. Leisures provide no experience and knowledge. Therefore, in his important and unimportant work alike, he often commits mistakes or wrong actions and statements. When encountering a subject or a fact, a stupid man does not try to discover its cause, but brings his desired or undesired feelings into discussion, thus obscuring the truth and the real state of the fact or subject. Stupidity is concerned to not only those who gain little understanding and learning, but also to many others who have acquired much in education and knowledge. If we can discern one of the characteristics of stupidity, we can know thoroughly that he is a stupid man, or he is in the time of stupidity. However, the stupidity does not persist. If the person desires earnestly to grow better, the characteristics of stupidity will disappear. He then will gradually show his good sense and good judgment. What is an intellectual? An intellectual gets the power of thinking and knowing the cause in facts and subjects. Thus he can connect with the fact by his mind. He uses the mind to ponder on the cause and find out the way to solve and react to facts with the logical cause. The one who reacts and solves facts with keen arguments and reasons to oppose the truth is also an intellectual, but he lacks righteousness in his reasons. Thus there is only selfishness in those words. Quick reactions and process of finding solutions with the logical cause show the well-developed function of thinking. The one who can discover the cause of a fact through external and internal phenomena such as vision, foresight, vivid images in the supernatural sight is an intellectual. In this world, stupid people, extraordinary intellectuals, and transcendent intellectuals occupy a small number, but a great number obtain ordinary intelligence. The successes of these different ranks of people are displayed through the ability of deceiving or ingenious schemes or love, respectively. Ability of deceiving, tricks, treats, is used to achieve a task for immediate result. Effect: taking advantage for oneself may damage or may not harm others. It causes advantage and disadvantage between one and another or many others. The performer of tricks and treats is an intelligent person, but these means contain dishonesty, and then fraud, chicanery. Frequent and customary use of these actions will debase one's natural character and disposition, gradually driving his good friends away, because these mischievous means do not hold the truth. Ingenious schemes. This is the determination by clever, genius, and systemic calculation which is able to forecast correctly psychological changes and future occurrence of social events. Nevertheless, for an ingenious scheme to achieve firm and secure results, the performer must know thoroughly the three great entities, heaven, earth, and man. The essence and character of an ingenious scheme create advantages and evolution for people and change their heart and mind to be excellent in terms of nature and quality. Users of ingenious schemes rack their brain through pondering, imagining, and calculating considerably. Therefore, the brilliance of their mind increases. Directing their efforts to carry out the advantageous situation for others, they first benefit themselves with more virtues, brilliance, and wisdom. Without opportunity and high position, it is hard for an extraordinary intellectual to use his genius. If there is no favorable opportunity, usually he has to use craftiness, which gradually corrupts his good disposition. But ingenious schemes require virtues, and consequently, common people admire the extraordinary intellectual. When a great man uses an ingenious scheme, a great number of people can benefit from it and evolve. Great man is the result of genius plus virtues plus clemency and chivalry. If a wicked man uses a genius scheme, people experience pains, losses, and hardship. Wicked man is the combination of genius plus evilness plus inhumanity and ungratefulness. When a great man uses a genius scheme, the world respects and rends homage to him. His virtues are respected and his genius is admired. When a wicked man uses an ingenious scheme, people curse and condemn him. People fear his demoniac genius and damn him for his inhumanity and ungratefulness. Love. Love is noble, great, and lofty than all tricks and ingenious schemes, for it is eternally good and beneficial to all. It favors all creatures for oneself and others. To bring love to others, first, an intellectual man must have love animating in himself, and when he puts the love into deeds, these deeds will be right, just, and suitable to Tao. Precisely, it is right to heaven, earth, and man, because all virtues in those deeds animate in latency in love. Conforming to Tao, the love brings about virtues and fortunes for mankind. Love makes man and other creatures happy. It decreases or ends sufferings. Through the way of living, The state of the mind of each individual can evolve much or less depending on each kind of mind. The silly and stupid man believes whatever he hears. He is aware of the facts only, but does not understand its meaning. The stupid man only knows the thing that exists and occurs, but cannot understand. If he knows, then understands, he can become an ordinary intellectual. An ordinary intellectual is able to change the circumstance in short period by using tricks belonging to an important deceptive creation. A great intellectual has superior intelligence to know beforehand what will happen and can change future conditions. In practical performance, he uses genuine scheme and careful systemic plan of action. He belongs to the rank of genius. A man with super mind lives and works for the perpetual life. He knows thoroughly the heart, the mind, and the soul of others, and knows how to use tactics, genuine schemes, systematic plans, etc. State of the mind and state of the heart. The development of the mind leads to different states of the heart, which, when combined with the state of mind, creates a large number of characteristics such as objective conservativeness, smartness, and wisdom. A. Conservativeness. Maintaining deliberately one's thoughts, thus making oneself subjective, self-confident, dictatorial, hard to agree with others, hard to join community in order to evolve. Subjectiveness. Considering one's own thoughts to be right, good, interesting, and thus rejecting all others' opinions and ideas, i.e., refusing to accept other opinions. Paying no attention to others' advice, his obstinacy discards others' understandings and learning even though they are right and good. He becomes subjective in his own thinking, knowledge, theory, doctrine, or belief and worship. He maintains all that he considers to be right in his body, heart, and mind. The subjective state leads to self-confidence and the state of being sure of oneself. Self-confidence, believing in one's own strength, capability, knowledge, and talent. Gradually, he gets an excessively high opinion of himself. When his self-confidence reaches a high degree of haughtiness, he wants to conduct everything in his own will. He then desires to rule absolutely over all and becomes dictator. Dictator, the one who has high esteem for his own ideas, thoughts, capabilities, and knowledge, and intends to solve every problem. If he maintains the dictatorialness for a long period, his will tends to honor and praise himself only. Honoring and praising oneself only, glorifying oneself, is to create a glory for oneself. Determining that only he himself is worthy of respect and worship, and pretending as supreme, he isolates himself from others and cannot agree with them. Hard to unify in a coherent whole, this kind of man desires only to express his thoughts without discussing or listening to others. Being unable to agree with others, he evolves slowly, although he may make progress, but only progress in his own thinking. He evolves slowly because he lives only with his own thoughts without accepting others. Age also influences the states of the heart and the mind, and is related to conservatism. Young people normally advocate extreme and rapid changes. If there is no radical progress, there will be no ardor, warm feelings, and enthusiasm of the youth. Almost all aged people get conservative mind. If there is no conservative mind, there is no prudence in their experiences and knowledge, i.e., They are skillful to discern and maintain necessary and useful values. The prudence is imperfect conservatism is different from the subjective conservatism mentioned above. The innately wise man at any time is both radical and conservative, i.e., things that must be changed, while things that are necessary must remain. It suffices to say that a wise man is neither old nor young. Wisdom and good sense have no age, or wisdom and good sense are not influenced by age. B. Smartness and wisdom. These qualities prove one's brightness and intelligence, both of which belong to an evolved degree of the mind. The state of the mind combines with different states of the heart, thus creating a nature of smartness and wiseness. Being wise in one's childhood is a divine favor, while smartness is a result of one's accumulated knowledge and efforts. Smartness is related more to the thinking mind than to the heart, but wisdom is the formation of intelligence and conscience. Coming from two different sources, smartness and wisdom have different effects and characteristics. Intelligence engenders smartness. Love from conscience originates wisdom, and it continues to produce love, while smartness can create sympathy only. Sympathy belongs to individual feelings. Its effect is time-bound and not persistent. It appears occasionally, but belonging to love of mankind from the conscience, wisdom persists. The states of the heart and the mind change accordingly to events, but the conscience is unchanged. The wise man reads, studies, and learns greatly, listens much, but seldom converses. He reads and learns much more than teaching. Listening much, the wise man understands considerably and widely. Speaking little, he does not make mistake or fault. Therefore, he is not tiresome, boring, or discouraging. He always learns in his conscience, which gives him abundant knowledge. He teaches concisely. His teachings are precious, because all uttered words are of great value. Much in words, the smart man is inclined to dispute and argue to take advantage without discussing. Arguing to deny the truth is against rightness, but discussing is to accept the logical cause. Whoever that takes advantage and denies the truth, in fact, commits injustice. The wise man often explains, discusses, and gives reasons in order to discover the cause. Having known the cause, the wise man becomes more intelligent and virtuous, and his good deeds increase. Knowing thoroughly the cause, he brings equality into all practical uses, even when he has no intention to perform equality. To the smart man, the outside is full of liveliness and vigor. He considers fortunes, prosperity, and longevity as his purposes and results. On the contrary, the wise man gives attention to the inner life and considers the cause, the mind, virtues, and Tao as the satisfactory completion of the way of living. Therefore, he does not take interest in material possessions. To him, possession and dispossession get the same meaning. He does not mourn the loss of material possession. Thanks to that, he gets a transcendent and lighter heart. The mind of the wise man exercises power over his heart and his body. In the smart man, his heart and his body control and rule over his mind. The mind is bright, wise, and sage, while the vulgar heart is easy to be seduced and led astray. If the mind controls the vulgar heart, this means brightness and wisdom give knowledge and spiritual insight to the heart, keeping it from seduction, enticement, and temptation. If the vulgar heart rules over the mind, this means the strength of seduction, enticement, and temptation forces the mind to find effective means to serve the heart and the body, augmenting the strength of seduction and enticement. Being aware of oneself, understanding others' feelings, and knowing that his inborn wisdom is not created by himself, the innately wise man donates to and shares with all others what he acquires, such as talent, virtues, knowledge, properties. The smart man cares only himself. Although being aware of others, he always takes advantage to be clever and skillful, let others to be credulous and unskillful. He withholds satisfactory and good states for himself, and bad, undesirable ones for others. He sets aside the abundance for himself, and insufficiency for others, or he seizes all possessions. In the smart man, when his flesh body becomes old, so does his mind. In the wise man, even though his flesh body becomes old, his mind remains quick in perceiving and acting. The cause is unalterable, but continues to be young. Accordingly, the mind is always young and alert. If the mind remains young, the thoughts are also active and invigorated. The ones who have fresh thoughts and active thinking get a young mind. The young mind belongs to the cause, i.e., this is a wise man. The smart man takes pleasure in external deeds, events, facts, but the wise man enjoys the inner cause. The pleasures from external sceneries are stirring, which are caused by the fluctuation of feelings. The inner joy from the cause, however, gets animated by the mind, while the heart remains quiet. The external pleasure is noisy, while the inner enjoyment is gentle and sweet. The external pleasure needs the gathering of people, but the inner enjoyment needs nobody else. Being in want of many people, the external pleasure requires occasions and favorable opportunities. Needing nobody else, the wise man can enjoy at any time, thus he remains young forever. When smartness is put into use, usually the performance is unnatural and all activities are not in a constant manner. But with wisdom, in all activities, there are freedom, spontaneous manner, and identicalness in every place and at any time. Smartness, when used in affairs, conceals some purpose, but in wisdom there is no hidden aim. With hidden aim, the use of smartness directs to specific actions, which are discriminative in terms of social positions, ranks, authorities, richness, poverty, to make relationships and associations. But wisdom suits everybody and meets the need for equity and justice. Smartness produces sympathy, but sympathy is not a real virtue. Wisdom creates love. Love is a fundamental virtue. Moreover, it constitutes Tao's character, the Tao of love. Wisdom is a real virtue related to ethics, but smartness is an applied means that puts sympathy into practice in order to achieve one's purpose, not a virtue. When a smart man makes relationship, there are careful consideration, weighing of pros and cons, balancing of advantages and disadvantages. Always deliberating, he is not relaxed and lacks naturalness in his manner, and his heart is not peaceful. On the contrary, there is clemency in wisdom. Thanks to this, the heart enjoys peace. When the heart is in peace, all activities are spontaneous and freely relaxed, without weighing or deliberating advantages or disadvantages. The user of smartness often endures or yields to others' wishes. If being more skillful, he can understand thoroughly others' heart. Yielding to others' wishes is to gain their sympathy. Understanding thoroughly others' heart is to prevail over and dominate them. Being subjected to others' wishes sometimes causes harm or damage to oneself, because the purpose of wishes is not always good. On the contrary, selfish and cruel wills of others sow the seeds of bad nature in one's mind and heart. In this case, the degradation of personality is evident. The wise man loves others sincerely without aim, thus he gains others' sympathy and also prevails and dominates others. Gaining others' sympathy is to obtain their esteem. Dominance others can evolve them with goodness and kindness. Often, smart people are unfaithful to their words. A smart and sly man never remains faithful in his words or keeps his promises. The wise man is faithful and steadfast in his utterance and feels happy in assisting others. The material civilization satisfies the carnal and sensual pleasures rather than the spiritual life. The sensual enjoyment excites extremely the development of all facilities, comforts, and commodities. Smartness increases along with steady progress and advancement of the material civilization, further generating duplicities and deceptions in order to outwit others by falsification in activities, including goods and numerous other falsifications. All falsenesses contribute to debasing moral and spiritual lives. Nowadays, one desires to get rich quickly to levels that surpass moral excellence. Although the mind develops rapidly, the conscience is almost paralyzed. Below are some forms of falsification in luxurious and lavish society in the material civilization. Poor, pretending to be rich; vile, showing to be noble; bad, feigning goodness; little, proving to be much; ignorant, acting as if intellectual; hypocritical, performing as if virtuous. A number of chairmen of associations or organizations act as philanthropists in the aim of displaying widely their charitable act in which no true love exists. Other forms of falsification, such as makeup and cosmetic surgeries that change one's physiognomy and countenance, mislead concealed virtues and fortunes. That means these falsifications alter the established rules of physiognomy and thus cause the disorder of fortunes and misfortunes in the two natural, small, and cosmic worlds related to the determinate fate of vulgar people who do not rectify and improve their conduct. All forms of falsification in activities excite the development of the mind but corrupt and spoil the heart.